Hey, my wonderful people, a pleasant evening to you. All right. I have done some posts, as it relates to the man and woman situation. And I'm not talking a platonic relationship. I'm talking a romantic and erotic relationship. Be it husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, boyfriend and girlfriend, fiance with fiancé, and all of that, male to female. And those are, well, that's the relationships that I focus on, really that's the parameter I work within, to be honest with you. So as it relates to the gender, the sex and the gender, so the sex is male and female, the gender would be, let us say, masculinity versus femininity, although some may say the gender can be female tendencies or male tendencies, or masculine tendencies or feminine tendencies. The point that I'm making is that I realize it is now more pronounced in terms of the gender wars that can come off as misogynistic or like being a misandry. So misogynist, they say men who hate on women. It doesn't mean from a sexual standpoint, or women who hate on men. It does not necessarily mean from a sexual standpoint. It could be something that they experience in a traumatic way, or some lack, some deficiency that took place. For example, dysfunctionality is not coming from a nuclear home. A lot of people, they have been so submerged and emerged in single parent homes that they think it is normal. I know it is a part of the norm, but it is not a normal, it is not God's normal way of living, and that contributes to the brokenness that we face in the society and the world at large. It was and still is God's intention to have man, woman, as in husband and wife, child, or children in the home, not women just being the parent or men just being the parent, and you have a patriarchal home or a matriarchal home. And we see this, it's a plethora of homes that have been daubed, with mainly of the two, women being the head of the homes, and they're the single parent, what should I say, leader of the pack. And it creates a lot of mayhem, because a home that is without a father, it's like a home without doors, without bars, without grills, without locks. There is no security, so to speak. The self-esteem that comes from a man, that God has imparted in that man, that he would emit to his child and give that security to his wife, is missing. So the child grows up very broken because it has gone. And what we find is that people grow up in the society saying the dirty man, the worthless man, the no good man. And men over the years have been tired of hearing this. So what they are doing is that they're clapping back, and saying women causes this, women cause that. And the gender war continues. It's like a seesaw effect. The pendulum just keeps going this way and that way, not realizing that, yes, both parties are culpable, meaning guilty. But men, the reason why we put more of the onus on you, even if you look at this, if you're going to use the standards of God, is that more was given to you. You were made first. You had the first-hand information and guidance from God. And then God imparted that to you with the expectation that you would have imparted that to your wife. And man failed to do that. That is why sin entered the world. The woman was left to be deceived, and she ended up coming. That deception was passed on. She passed that baton of deception to her husband unwittingly, not, willingly, not even knowing, subliminally. And it came out directly that she did so because he forgot the laws and the precepts of God. Men, you have to understand this. Women came from men. The woman came from man. God said he pulled something from the side of the man. Some say a rib or a piece of who you are. And the woman was fashioned, which tells a story that the woman is a reflection of who you are. Women tend to multiply whatever you give to them. Have you noticed women who are very good and prudent? You give them $1,000. You think that you've given them 10,000, they're able to maximize on that 1,000. For somebody who is good with management, they're good managers while you are the good leaders. You see the difference? So they manage and they multiply. So the flip side is the same. You give her hell, oh, believe you, she's carrying you right down to the devil. You give her hell, she's going to carry you right down to the devil. So the reality is that it really makes no sense that you put that blame on the woman. You know, men, somehow I don't think people understand the nature of God. God is deliberate in how he writes his commands. He's deliberate when he's commanding you about something. And I'm not talking necessarily the 10 commandments. That's very important. And he puts them in order of precedence. You know, they all don't carry the same weight. As much as people may say, you know, they do. They all carry a different measure of weight. And the first 3 are very significant to God because it speaks to really lauding and praising and honoring God, putting him first, but treating the human species that he made in his image and likeness, you know, with respect, honor, and love. When you breach that, you're in for trouble. When you take his name in vain, and taking his name in vain is not saying, Lord Jesus Christ, Lord Jesus Christ. No, it is using his name falsely. Falsely using his name, telling lies using his name, being deceptive, being manipulative, using his name. Men, there is no need for the gender wars. You have to take responsibility for your actions, just as how women ought to take responsibility for their own actions. Let me tell you something about a woman. Whether she's introverted or extroverted, men, you love that woman as Christ loves the church and gave himself up for her. That woman submits automatically. Remember, she's a reflection of you. She came from you. She came from you. She's a reflection of you. Let me tell you, there is a reason why in 1 Peter 3 verse 7 God says, men, do not abuse your wives, verbally especially. It was talking. Don't embitter them. Don't be harsh with them. Don't be callous and cold, because your prayers will be hindered. God knows that women, you can hurt, make or break a woman with your words. Because we're the weaker of the 2 vessels physically. God has made us in such a way where positive, solid words are what keep us, what drives us. We're not hard and cold. I'm not saying that it's good for women to tell men horrible things. Over the years, women have done that, you know, and it is not good. Even the Bible talks about, I like it onto when it says a dripping pipe, a nagging woman. But nagging is different from using vitriolic words or rancorous words. You know, nagging can be just, can you take up the shoes? Can you take up the shoes? Can you take up? And just nag you on that. It doesn't mean that they're really saying some negative words. So we don't want to confuse the two. You know, words trigger women. You are triggered by what you see. That is why you are hunters. You go for based on what you see. Women go by what they hear and how you make them feel. So some of you, when I hear you say all manner of evil towards women, what you're doing is signing a death sentence in the sight of God. And when I say death sentence, it may not be a physical death, but death of a relationship, death of a possible relationship, death of that relationship that is present to blossom and to bloom because of the words that you emit to the women. These days I hear men telling women of all ages. In fact, I see much more older men derailing and disrespecting, being extremely rancorous with their words towards females, the things that come out of their mouths. And I can understand why God says your prayers will be hindered. There is no need for the gender war. Men, you've often not taken responsibility for your actions. Can you imagine for men who give up? Because some men say, if the lady and I leave, the child and I leave. It doesn't matter if it's my child. Can you imagine if women were to take that stance? Those children would starve to death. They would starve to death. There is no need to fight to get a woman to submit, to honor, to respect you. All you need to do is to love that woman. Love her unconditionally. Love her as Christ loves the church and gave himself up for her. Look at the characteristics of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 1 to 13. You can use the NIV version, the Good News Translation, Amplified, and NLT, and so on, Passion. And it will guide you. And you will see a lot of these negative wars mitigate. Guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one like.